I never thought I would be that guy who checked his fiancée's phone. But there I was, staring at her screen, my heart racing as I read the group chat called The Vault. My voice memos, the ones I poured my heart into every morning for Natalie, were being shared and mocked by her and her friends. The intimate thoughts I had trusted her with had become their daily entertainment. One of her friends even called me a beta clown, while Natalie laughed along. The woman I planned to marry was making fun of my love. Before I tell you what happened next, let me know where you are watching from and hit subscribe if you have ever been betrayed by someone you trusted completely. Every love story has a beginning that feels magical. Mine started 3 years ago, at a company mixer, where I first met Natalie. I was 35 working as a software engineer at a tech firm in Boston. I had always been the quiet type, more comfortable with code than conversation, but passionate about music and cooking when I was in my comfort zone. She was 32, a marketing executive with a vibrant personality that lit up every room. Her laugh was infectious, her confidence magnetic, and I could hardly believe it when she approached me that night. "You look like the only person here not trying too hard to network," she had said, offering me a drink. Our conversation flowed naturally, jumping from work frustrations to favorite albums to childhood memories. By the end of the night, we had plans for dinner that weekend. I remember calling my best friend Troy afterward, almost in disbelief that someone like Natalie would be interested in someone like me. Dating Natalie pushed me out of my comfort zone in the best ways. She encouraged me to speak up at work, dragged me to social events I would have normally avoided, and introduced me to her wide circle of friends. I shared my homemade pasta recipes, played guitar for her on quiet evenings, and slowly opened up about my dreams and fears. After 1 year, we decided to move in together. My apartment was closer to both our workplaces, so Natalie moved her things in over a rainy weekend. We spent hours arranging and rearranging furniture, laughing at her impressive shoe collection that took up most of our shared closet, and celebrating with takeout on our new couch. "I never thought I would find someone who feels like home," I told her that night, and she kissed me in response. Living together felt right in a way I had never experienced before. We developed little routines: coffee on the balcony on Sunday mornings, competitive cooking nights where we would try to outdo each other with new recipes, and falling asleep to the same 3 movies on rotation because Natalie could never stay awake through an entire film. I often found myself thinking how lucky I was. Natalie was beautiful, smart, and could have chosen anyone, but somehow she had chosen me. When we would go out with her friends, a close-knit group of women she had known since college, I sometimes wondered what she saw in me compared to the successful, outgoing men they dated. But Natalie would squeeze my hand under the table, and those doubts would fade away. After 2 years together, I knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. I spent months planning the perfect proposal, saving for a ring I knew she would love, and rehearsing what I would say. I made reservations at Sorellina, the Italian restaurant where we had our first date. I arranged for the chef to bring out her favorite dessert, with the ring hidden beside it. When the moment came, my hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped the ring. But seeing her face, the surprise, the joy, the tears that followed, made every nervous moment worth it. "Yes, yes, of course, yes," she had repeated, holding out her hand for me to slide on the ring. The restaurant erupted in applause, and I felt like the luckiest man alive. We spent the rest of the night calling family and friends, posting the obligatory ring photo on social media, and starting to dream about our wedding the following spring. The idea of sending voice memos began innocently enough. Natalie had a 2-week business trip to Chicago, 3 months after our engagement. It was the longest we had been apart since moving in together, and I wanted to do something special to make the distance easier. "Check your messages when you wake up tomorrow," I told her the night before her flight. That first morning, I recorded myself singing a few lines from our favorite song, followed by a message wishing her a great first day and telling her how much I missed her already. It was simple, maybe a little cheesy, but her response made it worth it. "Oh my God, Reed, that was the sweetest thing ever," she texted. "Play it again tomorrow?" So I did. Each morning I would record a new message, sometimes sharing a memory, sometimes telling her about something funny our neighbor had said, sometimes just expressing how much I loved her. It became a ritual, a way to feel connected despite the miles between us. When Natalie returned from her trip, I assumed the voice memos would stop. But the morning after she came home, she asked where her message was. "I thought that was just a while you were away thing," I said, surprised. "No way. It is the best part of my morning," she insisted. "Please do not stop." So the voice memos continued, becoming a daily practice. I would wake up a few minutes early, go to the kitchen, to avoid disturbing her, and record a new message for her to listen to when she got up. In those quiet morning moments, I would pour out my heart, sharing thoughts and feelings I sometimes struggled to express in person. For the first few months, Natalie would respond with heart emojis, or sweet messages of her own. But gradually her reactions became less enthusiastic. Sometimes she would just send a thumbs up, and other times she would not acknowledge them at all. When I asked if she still wanted me to send them, she would assure me she did, but her tone lacked conviction. Maybe she is just getting used to them, I told myself, ignoring the sinking feeling in my stomach. I tried to make the messages more interesting. I wrote short poems, quoted her favorite movies, shared childhood stories I had never told her before. I put more effort into each recording, hoping to recapture that initial enthusiasm. Sometimes it seemed to work and she would respond with the warmth I craved. But those moments became increasingly rare. Still, I continued. Each morning for 6 months straight, I sent her a new voice memo. It had become more than just a romantic gesture. It was my way of showing her that my love was consistent, unwavering, a daily choice I made with joy. Little did I know that every word I spoke was being shared, mocked, and stored in a group chat called The Vault. They say ignorance is bliss. For 6 months I had been blissfully unaware that my most vulnerable moments were becoming comedy material. The discovery happened on an ordinary Tuesday evening. Natalie was taking a shower, and I was sitting on our bed scrolling through news articles when her phone lit up on the nightstand. I would not normally look at her notifications, but the preview caught my eye. The Vault, Amanda send. Another one of those beta messages. I need a good laugh today. My thumb hovered over the screen. I had never gone through Natalie's phone before. We had always respected each other's privacy, and the thought of breaking that trust made me uncomfortable. But that message, what did it mean? What were these beta messages Amanda was referring to? The shower was still running. I had maybe 5 minutes before Natalie would return. My heart pounding, I picked up her phone. She had never hidden her passcode from me, and I typed it in with shaking fingers. The notification led me directly to a group chat called The Vault, with 7 participants. Natalie, Amanda, Jessica, Zoe, Taylor, Danielle, and Megan, all friends I had met multiple times. Women who had hugged me at our engagement party and asked me about wedding plans. As I scrolled through the messages, my stomach dropped. There they were, dozens of my voice memos shared directly to the group, followed by comments that made me physically nauseous. Morning crew. Fresh delivery from Beta Boy. Natalie had written just that morning, attaching the voice memo, where I had told her how beautiful she looked when she slept. Oh my God, I cannot with this guy. Amanda had responded. How do you keep a straight face? Beta clown energy off the charts, Taylor had added with a laughing emoji. 6 months of this, you deserve a medal, Nat. Natalie's response. Sometimes I have to bite my cheek to keep from laughing when he is watching me listen. I kept scrolling, each message worse than the last. My hands were trembling so badly I could barely hold the phone. They had been doing this for months, almost since the beginning. Voice memos I had recorded while feeling deeply in love. Words I had carefully chosen to make Natalie feel special had been served up for mockery. This simp king really thinks you listen to these every day, Alex had written 3 months earlier. I cannot believe he is still doing this after 6 months, Jessica had commented just last week. How do you stand it? I would go insane. It is a small price to pay for the entertainment, Natalie had replied. Plus, he does all the cooking and cleaning when I say I had a hard day. I felt like I might throw up. This was not just about the voice memos anymore. This was Natalie, the woman I planned to marry, laughing at me behind my back, painting me as some pathetic, servile figure to entertain her friends. The worst was finding the reactions to my most private messages. 2 months ago, I had sent a memo sharing my fears that I was not good enough for her, that sometimes I worried she would realize she could do better. I had been in a vulnerable place that morning, opening up about insecurities I rarely acknowledged even to myself. Today's beta breakdown, Natalie had captioned it. Wow, he really knows, huh? Megan had replied. Self-awareness, level 100, Zoe had added with a skull emoji. Then there was the memo about our first date anniversary, where I had reminisced about how nervous I had been, how I had changed shirts 3 times before meeting her. I had shared how that night had changed my life. Annual reminder that I settled, Natalie had written above it. The group had responded with an explosion of laughing emojis. And the memo where I had talked about our future children, imagining what they might look like, wondering if they would have her smile or my eyes, that one had received the comment, birth control advertisement from Amanda, with Natalie responding. For real though. I heard the shower turn off and quickly put the phone back exactly where it had been. When Natalie came out of the bathroom wrapped in a towel, I somehow managed to smile and ask about her day, as if my entire world had not just collapsed around me. That night, lying next to her in bed, I felt like I was sleeping beside a stranger. Every loving thought I had ever had about her was now tainted with the knowledge that she saw me as a joke, that the future I had been planning was built on a foundation of mockery and contempt. I did not sleep at all. I kept replaying every interaction we had ever had, wondering what had been real and what had been an act. Had she ever truly loved me? Had she been laughing at me from the very beginning? Was our entire relationship just material for the vault? By morning I had cycled through every emotion, shock, hurt, humiliation, and finally a simmering anger that made it difficult to look at her across the breakfast table. I went through the motions of our morning routine, kissed her goodbye as she left for work, and then sat alone in our apartment trying to decide what to do next. I needed time to process to think clearly before confronting her. I called in sick to work, and spent the day alternating between periods of numbing disbelief and surges of heartbreaking clarity. I reread text messages from our relationship looking for signs I might have missed, clues that could have warned me that the woman I loved saw me as nothing more than a beta clown. When Natalie came home that evening, I was sitting on the couch, calm but resolute. "We need to talk," I said as soon as she walked in. Her face immediately registered concern. "What is wrong? Did something happen I know about the vault?" I said, watching her expression change from worry to shock, then defensive anger. "You went through my phone. How could you invade my privacy like that?" she demanded, immediately on the attack. "I saw a notification," I explained, keeping my voice steady. "Amanda said something about beta messages, and I got curious. I wish I had not looked, but I cannot unsee what I saw." Natalie's strategy shifted quickly from denial to minimization. "It is just jokes between friends, Reed. Everyone vents about their partners. You are taking it way too seriously. Venting is one thing. Sharing private messages so your friends can mock me is another," I replied. "You called me a simp king and a beta clown. You told your friends you settled for me." "Those were just jokes," she insisted, her voice rising. "You know how girls talk. We exaggerate for laughs." It does not mean anything, but I could see in her eyes that she knew it meant everything. This was not a misunderstanding or an innocent joke taken too far. This was a fundamental betrayal of trust, a window into how she truly saw me. "Those voice memos were for you," I said quietly. "They were private. They were me telling you how much I love you, and you turned them into a joke." "You are being way too sensitive about this," she shot back. "They were cheesy and over the top. What did you expect?" Her words hit me like a physical blow. Not only was she not sorry, she was blaming me for being hurt. In that moment, I saw with perfect clarity what our future would be: me, constantly trying to earn the respect of someone incapable of giving it. Her continued contempt, barely hidden beneath a veneer of affection. The argument escalated, with Natalie alternating between defensive anger and tearful accusations that I was overreacting. When she finally stormed out to get some air, I called Troy, needing to hear a friendly voice. She did what Troy exclaimed after I explained the situation. "Man, you need to end this engagement right now. That is some next-level disrespect." I know, I said, the reality of what needed to happen settling heavily on me. "But we have deposits on the venue, the families are excited." "Forget the money," Troy cut in. "This is the rest of your life we are talking about. Do you really want to marry someone who laughs at you behind your back?" While we were talking, Natalie's phone, which she had left behind in her hurry to leave, kept lighting up with notifications from the vault. Apparently, she had informed the group about our fight. He found out about the chat. "Total meltdown happening. Might need crash space tonight," she had written. "Uh-oh, beta uprising," Amanda had replied. "Tell him he should be flattered we even listened," Jessica had added. These were women who had smiled to my face, accepted my hospitality, eaten meals I had cooked, all while thinking of me as a joke. When Natalie returned 2 hours later, her friends had clearly advised her to attempt reconciliation. She offered a tearful apology that focused more on her getting caught than on the actual betrayal. "I never meant to hurt you," she said. "It was just a way to blow off steam. The wedding planning has been so stressful." But I could see through it now. The apology was not about understanding my pain. It was about salvaging her plans, maintaining the comfort of our arrangement where I adored her, and she merely tolerated me. "This is not about the wedding," I said. "This is about respect. You do not respect me, and without respect we have nothing." "That is not true," she protested. "I respect you. The chat was just stupid girl talk. You are completely blowing this out of proportion." But even as she tried to convince me, I could see that she did not understand the gravity of what she had done. She viewed my hurt as an overreaction, my anger as unreasonable. In her mind, she had done nothing truly wrong. I was the one creating problems by being too sensitive. In the days that followed, pressure mounted from all sides. Natalie's parents called, concerned about the sudden change in wedding plans. My mother, who had always adored Natalie, urged me to work things out. Every relationship has rough patches, she said, unaware of the depth of the betrayal. Meanwhile, I began to see our entire relationship in a new light. I noticed how often Natalie subtly put me down in front of others, how she rolled her eyes. When I spoke about topics I was passionate about, how she always positioned herself as the one doing me a favor by being with me. I had been blind to it all, so grateful for her love, that I had accepted scraps of affection and mistaken them for a feast. No more. Something fundamental had shifted inside me, and there was no going back. The morning after discovering the vault, I did not record a voice memo for the first time in 6 months. Natalie noticed immediately. "No message today?" she asked as we passed each other in the kitchen, her tone casual but her eyes watchful. "No," I replied simply. I could see the relief in her eyes, quickly masked by feigned disappointment. I was looking forward to it. The lie hung in the air between us, and I did not bother challenging it. Instead, I simply nodded and continued making my coffee. This small act of withholding something she had never truly valued anyway was just the beginning. Over the next few weeks, I systematically dismantled the role I had been playing, the adoring, eager-to-please fiancé, who placed Natalie's needs and wants above everything else. I stopped texting her throughout the day to check in. I declined invitations to events with her friends, the same women who had mocked me behind my back. I reclaimed my Thursday nights for jam sessions with my old band, something I had given up when Natalie complained about the time commitment. Most significantly, I stopped anticipating her needs and rushing to fulfill them before she asked. No more running out at 11 p.m. because she suddenly craved ice cream. No more taking on all the household chores because she declared herself too exhausted after a standard workday. No more canceling plans with my friends because she decided last minute she wanted me home. The changes were not dramatic or confrontational. I did not announce what I was doing or make grand statements. I simply stopped prioritizing her comfort and happiness above my own, stopped trying to earn love through servitude. Natalie's reaction to these changes evolved over time. Initially, she seemed almost relieved, as if my reduced attentiveness was a welcome break from having to pretend appreciation. But as days turned into weeks, her relief transformed into confusion, then irritation, and finally something approaching panic. "You never ask about my day anymore," she complained one evening, as I focused on a book instead of interrogating her about her work drama. "How was your day?" I asked, looking up briefly. "Never mind," she huffed. "You obviously do not care." The irony of her suddenly craving the attention she had once mocked was not lost on me. But I felt no satisfaction in her discomfort, only a growing certainty that I had made the right decision in stepping back. As I created more space for myself within our relationship, I began to see more clearly how unbalanced it had always been. Natalie had trained me to see her needs as paramount and mine as secondary, to view her acceptance as something I had to continually earn, rather than something freely given out of love. My changing behavior also revealed new layers to Natalie's disrespect. When I declined to be her designated driver for a night out with the vault crew, she brought home Amanda, who drunkenly let slip, "So this is the new Reed, huh? Not so beta anymore." The comment confirmed what I already suspected. Natalie was discussing my behavior change with the very friends who had participated in mocking me. Our relationship was still providing entertainment, just with a different plotline. The most telling incident came about 5 weeks after my discovery. I had been sleeping in the guest room, citing Natalie's snoring as the reason, rather than my inability to be physically close to someone who had betrayed me so deeply. One night, her phone rang around 2 a.m., waking me up. When I went to check if everything was okay, I found Natalie in the kitchen speaking in hushed but angry tones. "No, he is not here," she was saying. "He went to Troy's place for the night." I had done no such thing. I stood silently in the hallway listening. I know, she continued. "He is being impossible, acting like I committed some huge crime by sharing a few stupid messages. No, he is still hung up on it. Yes, exactly, like I should have to walk on eggshells in my own group chat." She laughed softly at whatever the person on the other end said, and I recognized the sound of her true self, the self she showed to her friends, but not to me. In that moment, I knew with absolute certainty that there was nothing to salvage. The final confrontation came after a tense dinner with both sets of parents arranged by Natalie, in what I suspect was an attempt to pressure me back into compliance through family expectations. Throughout the meal, she played the role of loving fiancée, perfectly touching my arm, referencing shared jokes, talking about our future plans, as if nothing had changed between us. As soon as we got home, the mask dropped. "What is your problem?" she demanded. "You barely spoke to anyone all night." My problem, I said calmly, is that I am engaged to someone who does not respect me. Someone who shares my private messages with her friends so they can laugh at me. Someone who calls me a beta clown behind my back. Are you still on that? She exclaimed, throwing up her hands. It has been over a month. Read normal people would have moved past this by now. Normal people do not mock their partners in group chats, I replied. You have changed, she accused, as if my transformation was the true betrayal. You used to be sweet and thoughtful. Now you are cold and distant. I have not changed, I told her. I have just stopped playing a role that made me small enough for you to feel comfortable. I have stopped trying to earn the love of someone who was never going to give it freely. That is not fair, she protested, tears forming in her eyes. I do love you, but you do not respect me, I said. And without respect, love is just another word for contempt. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the ring box I had been carrying for days, waiting for the right moment. I placed it on the coffee table between us. I cannot marry someone who laughs at me behind my back, I said quietly. We are done. The color drained from Natalie's face as the reality of the situation finally hit her. You cannot be serious, she whispered. Over some stupid messages, not just messages, I corrected her. Over what they revealed about how you see me, about who we really are together. For the first time since this all began, I saw genuine emotion in her eyes. Not performance, not manipulation, but real fear and regret. But it was too late. The trust was broken beyond repair, and we both knew it. The logistics of unwinding a 3-year relationship and 2-year engagement were complicated and painful. I moved out the following weekend, taking only what I absolutely needed, and leaving behind the furniture and appliances we had chosen together. I stayed with Troy for 2 weeks, then found a small apartment closer to work. Telling our families was excruciating. My mother cried, confused by the sudden collapse of what had seemed like a perfect match. Natalie's father called, alternating between appeals to reconsider and thinly veiled threats about the financial implications of canceling a wedding 6 months out. I offered to cover any non-refundable deposits myself, willing to pay that price for my freedom. The hardest part was the loneliness that followed. Despite knowing I had made the right decision, I still felt the absence of Natalie like a physical pain. 3 years of building a life together had left me with routines and reflexes that no longer served a purpose. I would reach for my phone to text her about something funny I had seen, or turn to tell her about a work accomplishment, only to remember she was no longer my person to share with. To address the emotional fallout, I started seeing a therapist who specialized in relationship trauma. Dr. Marshall helped me understand how I had gradually surrendered my sense of self in pursuit of Natalie's approval, how I had confused self-sacrifice with love. Healthy love adds to who you are, he told me during one session. It does not require you to subtract parts of yourself to be worthy of it. Those words became a touchstone as I rebuilt my life. I reconnected with friends I had neglected, throwing myself back into the local music scene that had once been a central part of my identity. I redecorated my apartment in a style that was entirely my own, not a compromise or a concession. I took a cooking class, channeling my love of preparing meals for others into a new social activity. The healing was not linear. There were days when the humiliation would hit me afresh, when I would imagine Natalie and her friends laughing at my pain even now. There were nights when I questioned whether I had overreacted, whether I should have tried harder to make it work. But those moments became less frequent as time passed. 8 months after ending the engagement, I ran into Natalie at a concert. I had gone with Troy and some friends from my cooking class, enjoying the freedom to attend events without checking if they aligned with someone else's preferences. She was alone, looking slightly lost in the crowd. "Reed," she said, spotting me before I saw her. "How are you?" She looked different, somehow smaller, less certain. The confident woman who had once seemed to illuminate any room she entered now appeared diminished. "I am doing well," I answered truthfully. "How about you?" "Okay," she said, then amended. "Actually not great. I miss you." There was a time when those words would have sent me rushing back to her, eager to erase any sadness she felt. Now I simply nodded. "I am sorry to hear that," I said, meaning it. Despite everything, I did not wish her unhappiness. "I have been doing a lot of thinking," she continued, stepping closer. "About what happened, about how I treated you. I was wrong, Reed. So wrong. What I did was cruel, and I did not appreciate what I had until you were gone. It was the apology I had once desperately wanted, but never received. The acknowledgement of wrong that might have changed everything if it had come earlier. But now, looking at her, I felt nothing but a gentle sadness for what had been lost. "Thank you for saying that," I replied. "I hope you find what you are looking for, Natalie. Is there any chance?" She began, hope flaring in her eyes. No, I said kindly, but firmly. That door is closed. She nodded, blinking back tears. I understand. Take care of yourself, Reed. As I watched her walk away, I realized I was finally free, not just of the relationship, but of the need for her approval, the desire to be enough in her eyes. I had found something more valuable than her love, self-respect. In the months that followed that encounter, I continued to build a life that reflected who I truly was, rather than who I thought I needed to be to deserve love. I started dating again casually at first, then more seriously with a woman named Grace who valued authenticity above all else. The lessons from my relationship with Natalie became guideposts rather than open wounds. I learned to recognize the difference between compromise and capitulation, between earning love and buying approval. I discovered that vulnerability is a gift to be treasured, not ammunition to be used against someone. Most importantly, I learned that sometimes you have to lose what you thought you wanted to find, what you truly deserve. And in that painful journey from betrayal to healing, you discover not just a better kind of love, but a stronger version of yourself. Looking back now, I can almost feel grateful for that moment when I saw the notification from the vault. It was the wake-up call I needed, painful as it was. Without it, I might have spent a lifetime trying to earn the respect of someone incapable of giving it, mistaking contempt for love. If you have ever found yourself diminished by someone who should have celebrated, you know that the path to self-respect may be painful, but it leads to a freedom that no relationship, however comfortable, can provide. And when you finally find the courage to value yourself, you create space for others to do the same. Have you ever discovered someone you trusted was not who you thought they were? How did you handle it? Share your story in the comments below, and do not forget to like and subscribe if this resonated with you. Remember, sometimes the most painful endings lead to the most beautiful beginnings. Thank you for listening, and until next time, take care of your heart. It deserves someone who treats it with respect.